all you happy people. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Mole Hole with the hardest working sports announcer in St. Louis. He's Randy Molman, and the show starts now. Good morning, St. Louis, and welcome to The Mole Hole. Those of you tuning in, hopefully you survived the snowpocalypse. I tell you what, we got about 8 inches or so at the house.
We counted 11. We stuck
Wow.
the ruler in the snow. And
This is not a competition, Mark. You should have seen him back there. Mark was like, we got 11 inches. Mark Langston joins me every week as always.
do you remember what it was in 1982, the big blizzard?
I do.
How many?
It was over a foot for sure. But back then, I don't think they were as equipped to take care of the streets because we were off school for a week.
Yeah.
I don't remember our streets being plowed for 4 or 5 days. No one could go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's when we made a lot of French toast.
Randy, we went to the grocery store the day after, and
Yeah.
honest to goodness, there was not an egg to be found. And I thought about you.
Yeah.
That's their whole
Because last week we were talking about making French toast. Got to get your bread, eggs, and milk. No one in our family drinks milk, so we don't buy milk. I mean, bread, sure, we eat bread. Eggs, yeah, we make eggs. But if we don't have milk, we're not having French toast. Anyway, I did end up buying shovels. Remember last Thursday, I was like,
yeah.
oh, I got to go out and get some shovels. Luckily, I found some before the rush.
Did you get that fancy,
No.
fancy schmancy?
I'll bet you if there was a camera on me in Walmart when I was looking at that fancy shovel, it would have been pretty funny. Like, you know, dad can't figure out newfangled shovel. Like I got that thing off the thing and I'm like, how do I push it? Like, how do I hold it? Do I hold it down here? Cause it's got an arch in it. And I dropped it and picked up 2 normal shovels.
Good. I think that's real men do that one.
Yeah, right. Real men. So yeah, but kids got a couple of snow days and I got to work from home a couple of days. It was nice. Sometimes it's nice. By the way, the last couple of years, the snowfall in our area has picked up. Remember, we complained, like, I remember, you know, doing the old man thing where I was, as a kid, we got snow all the time. And then over the last 10, 15 years, we haven't gotten a lot of snowstorms,
No.
but we've gotten more in the last couple of years.
Yeah. There is global warming, I believe in.
Global warming, I do believe in. If our president posted, I'm just going to tell you what our president posted.
Okay,
no opinion.
Let's hear it.
Our president posted when that storm was about to hit 52% of the country was in a winter storm watch, which that's insane. That's crazy. And our president posted something to the effect of all of these climate change imbeciles and insurrectionists. How do you explain this winter storm? And I've I'll just repeat it with no opinion.
I get it. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Winter storm. Global warming. I mean, it's one of those responses where it's like, tell us you know nothing about science without telling us you know nothing about science. All right. We have a good show today. Head coach of SIUE women's basketball, Samantha Quigley-Smith, is going to join me here in a few minutes. We're going to talk hoops. We haven't really had a chance to dig into any hoops. So we're going to talk some basketball with Coach Sam Quigley-Smith at SIUE. Then we're going to talk NFL, obviously. We'll close out the conference championship games and what happened last weekend. Next week, we'll do a Super Bowl, kind of a Super Bowl preview. Also, the coaching carousel in the NFL and the college football portal, I believe, is now closed. Where does Mizzou rank in that portal? Where did Mizzou end up in the rankings of the transfer portal? We will get to that as well. But first, joining us on the Mole Hole Celebrity Line. That's right. We have to come up with a sponsor for that. On the Mole Hole Celebrity Line here in the Mole Hole with Randy Molman, we have head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith from SIUE Women's Basketball. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. I'm not a celebrity, but I'm glad that I'm on the celebrity show.
Well, you're more of a celebrity than the host of the show. I can tell you that. Coach, where are you this weekend? Well, you guys are on a road trip for the weekend.
We are. We're in good old Moorhead, Kentucky.
I miss being with you, Coach.
We miss having you.
I miss being down there.
We miss having you.
Even if it is Moorhead, Kentucky.
Yep.
So, Coach, I wanted to ask you, first of all, there's this season has been a little different for you personally. Talk a little bit about you just had a baby about a month ago, a little more than a month, around a month ago, baby Louie. And congratulations for my listeners who didn't know that. And that's awesome. But you're already a very busy person. You're a head coach of a women's basketball team at the D1 level. Having a baby mid-season probably presents a lot of other challenges. Talk a little bit about, first of all, the joy and happiness of bringing a new baby into the world, but then how does that work during a basketball season?
Yeah, it's definitely different. This is our first. My husband and I, we have 5 little ones, so it was a little bit unique this time around. This is the first one we've ever had in the middle of a basketball season. So certainly different, certainly a little bit tough at moments, but he has been a blessing. I thought our other kids, their babies were really good, and he's been amazing. So I think he just knew we needed a little less stress, and God sent us a good one, that's for sure. But yeah, I think that's kind of the nature of the business a little bit, and being a mom and having to get back pretty quickly and want to be a part of your team as well. But I've had a really great supportive staff here, and our administration has been really amazing. Just giving me the short time that I needed, obviously,
right.
And then getting back on the court as soon as I could. So. It's certainly a happy moment, and really, really cool just to have another addition and another little cougar in the fam.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can only imagine you missed a couple of games, obviously. What was it like? Were you running your fingernails on the chalkboard? Was it rough to be sitting on the sidelines watching your team play? Or look, I know you've got amazing assistant coaches, and they took over and ran practices and coached games while you were out. So I know you weren't nervous about the coaching staff taking over, but just you're not used to just during the season sitting on the sidelines and watching your team from afar.
Yeah, definitely not. And it was there were home games that week, so it was. I think it was almost worse because it was like I was right down the street at the hospital. So that part was a little challenging, frustrating. Little Louis Lewis, I think he learned some choice swear words that week as I was watching the game on the ESPN feed on my living room TV.
Those words weren't directed at the broadcasters, were they? I mean,
no.
Oh, okay.
Never.
All right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. It was just not being there and being frustrated. And,
right.
We had some close ones that week too. We lost a couple under 5 points, under 6 points. So it was, as a mom and like a coach, you just feel like, oh, what could I have done to help them? What could I have done?
Absolutely.
Here we are.
Yeah. Head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith from SIUE women's basketball joining us here in her 5th season at SIUE. Coach, let's talk about the season so far. First of all, the way I have kind of looked at the season, I feel like you guys are now on a 2-game win streak after last week's sweep of the 2 Tennessee teams. And I feel like this is now you're kicking it into the third part of the season. The first part of the season is that non-conference schedule. And I got to tell you, that non-conference schedule was dynamite. I mean, in an exhibition game, you hung with St. Louis University. You went on the road at Power 5 Missouri and had a lead in the third quarter. You beat Indiana State. You beat Evansville. You hung with Northwestern out of the Big Ten on the road. I mean, this team looked really, really good in the non-conference, a couple of wins that maybe those that weren't familiar with your team were probably thought were a little unexpected, but not unexpected to you guys. Then you get into the conference season and sort of hit a roadblock, so to speak, where you kind of it got a little rough offensively. Talk about the difference between how well this team was humming in the non-conference and then kind of what happened to begin the conference schedule.
Yeah, it was a great non-conference just in terms of like confidence builders too. You get a group of women, and this is a little bit different, with all the transferring that's happening and different dynamics. And obviously we had a freshman class that came in that proved to be, really, really solid and strong right off the bat in our non-conference. And so just to see them like feel winning and feel how to win, because we've been building and we've been trying to get to that point, especially, before conference starts. And so I think we had a really great, like, feeling about ourselves and feeling about where this was going to go after the non-conference. And then we hit like a little bit of a roadblock. And, I think it was probably a combination of, shots not going in / players and teams and coaches scouting us a little bit better and making things a little bit more difficult for some of our best scorers, and just kind of overcoming that adversity. And then there was a handful of really close games in there that, we had talked to the team about, hey, 5 to 7 possessions go differently and you're 4-3 in the league.
Right.
And so like, I think that part of it, our team just seeing and realizing that like every possession is really important. The one in the middle of the second quarter, the one in the middle of the third, the one at the beginning of the fourth, like those possessions, they all add up and in close games. And we've told them this is how every game is going to be from here on out. Every game is going to be a close game. But I would agree with you, this third segment of the year is certainly coming upon us. And now we have everybody else that we've already played. We get to play them again. So I think that part of it's really, really cool, really fun. We've talked a lot about how like, hey, it's going to be different this time around. It's going to be different here at Moorhead. It's going to be different at Southern Indy. And so, our team really buying into that. And we got those 2 wins last week, I think, just to give us some momentum moving into this week.
Coach, you mentioned the 2 freshmen. You have your 2 leading scorers are freshmen. You look at that on one side and you say, you've got you're building quite a future with these 2 players, Kyoko Proctor out of Alton and then Lauren Miller out of Camp Point, Illinois, who's won 5 Freshman of the Week awards already in the OVC. And those 2 freshmen are kind of leading the team, and it's kind of a unique situation. On the one hand, the experience they're building in these roles is going to take them very far in their basketball careers here at SIUE. But on the flip side of that, they are freshmen. They were just playing in high school last season. Talk a little bit about those 2. We'll start with Lauren and Kyoko before we talk a little bit about the rest of the roster.
Yeah, they just turned 18.
Yeah, right.
I think that's been really cool to see out of them. And they were winners in high school, so just bringing that experience, and they were scorers in high school, but I don't know that either of them thought that this is how their beginning of their freshman year would go, so it's been really awesome just to watch their development. And they're both gym rats. They're both players who want to learn. They watch a lot of film. And every week they're trying to get better than they were the week before. But they went through challenges too, like, scoring droughts and scoring, teams making things really difficult for them and really hard, being more physical. And so as freshmen, I think you've got to like kind of have a short memory and not reflect too much, because it could really affect your game, your mental strength. And these two have been great just in terms of like, hey, the next week I'm going to be better. The next game, the next practice, I'm going to be better. And doing all they can to learn how to do that. So, they've been phenomenal, and just growing this program to have two freshmen that are playing the way they are. They're two local women as well. Mm-hmm. So we feel like, knock on wood, we're going to keep them around for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, really exciting to see the future of SIU women's basketball and having some local players as the future. There's been no better, description or recipe of it than what our men's coach and our men's staff has done with some of their local players in the past few years. They have a Rayshon Taylor who stays here for 6 years, was it?
Yeah.
6 years maybe.
Yeah, because he had injury years, so he got to redshirt.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think these women, they know of him, they know what that program has done, and both of them, they want to be a part of something great in their own backyard. So yeah, it's been exciting.
So, and let me ask a follow-up question on those two players. The one thing also about being freshmen is the league, the OVC league has a lot of veteran coaches in it, right? And those coaches have been very successful in the OVC. A lot of them, you look at UT Martin and Southern Indiana and Western Illinois. You're talking about long-time coaches that maybe not in the OVC, but have been longtime coaches at their program and are now in the OVC. And so their prep and their film watching and their ability to take out top players probably moves at a faster pace than the learning curve of 18-year-olds, right, who are in their first year at D1.
Yeah.
And so you figure those coaches are going to be a little step ahead on trying to stop Lauren and Kyoko, but Kyoko and Lauren, as well as you guys, learning how to make sure that they also grow and develop and take their game to a different level when they see something different. That's got to be a challenge.
Yeah. I think it's tough, and it's there's a maturity level that's developing for them, and every week and every game, I think they get a little bit better at. Okay, yeah. What do I do when it does this? What do I do when someone is more physical with me? How do I adjust if maybe I'm not shooting well or a shot's not falling? What else can I do? Can I rebound? Can I guard better? Can I get a steal here and there? Like Kyoko's been a great example of like, man, if my 3-point shot's not falling, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna hang back here and get a couple steals right underneath the basket and get a layup for myself.
Yeah.
He's done that a few times in the past 2 weeks where it's like, yeah, now you can guard too. You can guard on the other side of the ball. But I agree. There's like this veteranness about our league in terms of coaches. We just played Tennessee Tech, and it seemed like Kim had an answer for everything we were doing, and that was obviously a really close game. So to pull one like that out, when teams have experience, even the top teams in our league, like they all have players that, have been in their program and they have returners. They have a starting group that's returned, 6-7 players that are returning, and so I would just say like that's a little bit unique to our league that probably some other leagues don't have.
Head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith for SIUE joining us here this morning. Speaking of players that have stuck around and have been a part of the program, let's talk a little about Macy Sylvie. Macy Sylvie is another local product, one of the all-time 3-point basket leader for SIUE women's basketball in the D1 era, and approaching 1,000 points for her career. And she has stuck it out and stayed with the program and been with you for this is now her 4th season. Talk about how important she is, not only to this roster on game day, but in practice, outside of games, and talking about how to go about your business, and having a player like Macy Sylvie who's been in the program for that long. Yeah,
just the experience, the veteranness that she brings. She's a leader in every aspect of the word, and to do it in her own neighborhood and to do it in her own area. Went to Edwardsville High School, and to be able to stay here close to home and help us compete for a championship. That's what she's wanted to do since her freshman year. She reminds me a lot of Lauren and Kyoko because she, as a freshman, immediately got some playing time and was, it was contributing right off the bat, to be a 1,000-point scorer, to be be nearing that here your senior year as a true senior, a 4-year senior.
Right.
I would just say like that's awesome just to see and to have. It's something that our younger players look up to, and just the way she operates like a pro, and I think that part of it is something that's going to take our program a long way and her in life, obviously. But yeah, she's a great one. The Sylvie family is phenomenal. And we have another player that's been in here, for a while, Jaden Bryant, who
Yes.
came to us, transferred to us from Missouri State and has been here for a few years, played at Incarnate Word, who's, a nationally known high school program.
Right.
But just to have those two as seniors, and you have the additional transfer seniors as well, but those two, have been great leaders for our program and building it to where we want to be, right now and in the future.
I want to get into a little bit of we talked about we glossed over transfers and the state of college basketball today. It's let's just be honest. College sports we're in a free agency time. I mean, these players can go wherever they want, whenever they want. And so talk a little bit about, you've got a couple of transfers that came in, one from VCU, Bukola Akamalafe, who has really made her presence known, especially on the defensive side. You're one of the best defensive teams in the conference, and she is a very good, solid defender, one of the best on your team. And then Cyan Mohammed, who's one of the conference leaders in rebounding. She's really trying to find her scoring touch, but very, very good on the glass. Talk a little bit about those two transfers, and then I want to pick your brain a little bit more on the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, those two, just their experience and what they brought, they come to us from great programs. They were really well coached, and you can tell. But yeah, certainly Bukola, just defensively and even rebounding wise. And what's really awesome is in the last 2 weeks, she's come off the bench for us, and she was starting the entire first part of the season. So if you know anything about basketball or about going from a starting spot to a bench spot,
mm-hmm.
that can kind of tweak with you a little bit, or hurt your confidence or something along those lines. And it's only grown hers. She has embraced that role, and then I've talked to her a couple times, hey, how do you feel about it? And she's like, actually, I feel really good, coach. I feel like I have less stress. I have less, expectation. And now I can come in and I can give the energy that we need off the bench, And so Bukola has been someone who's really embraced that. Yeah. And certainly Cyan, she came to us from the NAIA, transferred to us, 6'4" player. So it has given us some really great size and underneath, just from that 5 back to the basket post player position that we've really needed the last 2 years. We haven't had, much of anybody over 6 feet, 6'1", so to be able to have her and her strength, her size, she's got great touch around the basket. The other night she had 15 and 15. So she certainly is finding kind of her scoring niche and, is rebounding the basketball really great in the league. So just those two and their experience, their veteranness along with our other seniors.
Yeah, and I failed to mention someone who's cracked the starting lineup the last 4 or 5 games is Adriana Blasquez, who comes from Murray State. And Murray State is one of the top mid-majors in the country every year. So she comes from a very good program. And so you talk about those 3 key transfers. They really are helping elevate this team this year. You guys have already surpassed last year's total win total. I mean, so far, having these 3 players come in has really been a help, hasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has. Adriana came from Murray State. They were a winning program, went to an NCAA tournament last year. She guarded and defended some of the best mid-major players in the country. And so just to have her also that experience. And every year I feel like when you bring a transfer in, it takes a little time for them to gain their confidence back. If you're taking a player that maybe didn't play a lot or didn't contribute as much as they're going to contribute with you, all 3 of our transfers, I would say, have come in and they have been immediate contributors. So that might be a little bit different experience than what they had at their previous school. But just really great to have all 3 of them.
Touching back on Cyan real quick, Cyan Mohammed, 6'3", played at Goshen College, NAIA, 4 years. I'm not sure how to phrase this question. She obviously can play at this level. She has proven it already this season. So that opens up, right, for your program and any D1, especially at the mid-major level. I feel like you can look around and see. My big thing on the portal always was, oh, well, a lot of the mid-majors will end up getting power conference players because those players want to play if they're not playing where they are. But that's not necessarily panned out. What has panned out is a lot of good players coming from NAIA, D3, D2. You've coached at those levels. You know that there are players at those levels that can play for your program. How do you go about watching film and finding those players in the portal now that it's opened up to so many other levels?
Yeah, this is definitely different. And some of the rules are still what they were. So, like, you can't call a player that, is not in the portal or is not, actively transferring. So it's just about kind of eyeing, obviously, what it is that you need. What do you have graduating? I think that's a big piece of it. But some of the best mid-major players in this last year and a half, and, some of the Missouri Valley schools, some even in our league, like, they've been lower level players. They've been Division II and Division III NAIA players. Obviously we have one in Cheyenne right now who's one of the best post players in the OVC right now, and I think it's just about when it is you get to that transfer portal time period, which will happen here in the next 2 months, that we get to that place, what it is that we need, and finding players that fit that need, knowing that you're probably not going to be able to get the SEC player off the bench, but you're going to be able to get the best player in this Division II league, that is looking to transfer and play a higher level and play Division I basketball. So it's definitely opened up. I wouldn't say it's a can of worms, but it's opened up a lot. It's opened up a lot more players.
Oh yeah,
and a lot more eyeing and evaluating that you weren't doing 3 years ago. And so certainly it's definitely different, but that's why you got a big staff as a Division I program, and you're on that portal every day. A new rule change, though. The portal is now a little bit shorter, the window, which is helpful for us as coaches.
Right.
It went from 30, 45 days to 15 days.
Oh, my.
So that's really going to help us all. And that rule just changed here in the last few weeks. So that's really going to help all of us from a coaching standpoint be able to get everything going and moving. And we're not doing this for, 3 straight months. The last few years.
It does make it trickier, though, in terms of the can of worms as it relates to how many high school players are we going to recruit? And then how many portal players are we going to, before you're trying to load up your roster with high school recruits and develop them from their freshman year on. And now that kind of throws a wrench in that. You don't necessarily have to develop 5, 6, freshmen every year. You can recruit 3 or 4 and bring in 2 or 3 transfers. You know what I mean? Like, it does throw a wrench in the philosophy on what to go get for your team overall, as opposed to the freshmen you're chasing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And that's certainly what we're doing. We're doing a little bit of both, where we have 4 freshmen coming in for next fall, a couple other local women as well, Columbia, St. Louis area. And then we're getting, that 2 or 3 in the portal that we feel like can be really impactful right off the bat. And obviously NIL comes into play a little bit. You're competing with other universities and schools for, okay, what kind of money do they have? What kind of money do we like?
Right.
And so that's definitely thrown a little bit more into this. But the lower level player is something that, we are eyeing as a program. And I'm sure a lot of mid-majors are, just because, they can come and they can play at this level.
Yes.
They've got some game to them, and they're players that have experience. Cyan played 4 years.
Right.
So now you're bringing in a player that played 4 years, scored a lot, and now can play at this higher level. So certainly something we'll be looking at here in the next couple months.
Head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith joining me, SIUE basketball's head coach in her 5th season over in Edwardsville. Coach, you guys have won 2 in a row now in conference. You're right in position in conference play to get to that OVC tournament. Talk a little bit about what this team is going to need to do over the remainder of this regular season to get into the OVC tournament and make a run.
Yeah, I think you've got to compete and really beat the teams I would say are supposed to beat. and so that's maybe teams that are in line with you, right near you in terms of league standings.
Yes.
Teams that you played really close games with your first time around, and then those top teams like that you are prepared for and that you give your best, look for, and you're just a little bit better than you were the first time you played them. And so, I mean, it is kind of cool that we've played all these teams already, and now you get another shot at them. You get another opportunity to do something different, to play differently. We'll have that tonight at Morehead State, where we get that chance to beat them on their home floor like they beat us on our home floor. So I think that piece of it's really, really important. And just to have consistency. We're the type of team that is going to need the balanced scoring. We're going to need 4 or 5 in double figures. And so our team and our group just understanding how important it is, to just have that consistency every night, and if you're not providing this, what else can you provide for us? What else can you bring for us? Our bench has been incredible. If you have a chance to turn on our game, like they are out of this world energetic.
Oh yeah.
So just contributing something that can help us be successful.
Coach, one last question. I think I've asked you this before when I've had you on, but I'll ask again. I'm always intrigued by lifelong basketball players that have turned into coaches. They've lived it since they were 5 years old. Can you sit down on a Sunday afternoon and watch a college basketball game without taking mental notes about what you're watching from a coaching perspective? Or can you just enjoy the game as it's on?
No, I certainly cannot enjoy it. I'm usually rewinding and I'm screen recording something on my phone that's like, we need to do this.
Yes, that's what I figured.
Hey, defensively, this was the same thing we did, and it didn't work, And
right.
So I think that's just the coaching brain in all of us. No, certainly can't. I can do that for the Bears.
Oh, well, I mean, but that's football, though. You're not a football coach.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's what I figured. I mean, it always, that's a question I always love to ask, because I do know that people who are, so committed to their job, have been a part of this world for, since you were 5 years old, probably, and you can't turn it off, right? It's hard to turn learning off. You're constantly in learning mode, right?
Yeah, no. And it's always like, I'm sure our coaches are like, why are you texting us at 2:30 in the morning? And I'm like, because I'm up with the baby and I just saw something cool we should do in the game. It's mom life.
That's
hashtag.
That's awesome. That's head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith. Yeah. Good luck. The Cougars are on ESPN Plus tonight at Morehead State, 4:00 Central, and then Saturday at Southern Indiana. That is a 5:00 Central tip in Evansville. You can also watch that on ESPN Plus. Good luck this week, and we'll see you back home in a couple weeks.
Thanks. You're the best.
All right. That's head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith from SIUE joining us talking hoops this morning. My name's Randy Molman. You're listening to The Mole Hole. We'll take a quick timeout, come back and talk a little NFL football and college football portal right after this.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6922 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchatas and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open Tuesday through Sunday. El Potro, 6922 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland. Find them online at elpotrostl.com.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. 314-752-5000. Jewels on Hampton.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks to head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith over at SIUE for talking hoops in our first segment. Cougars at Morehead State today, 4 o'clock Central at Southern Indiana, I should say, Southern Indiana on Saturday. Southern Indiana Eagles. No? Screaming Eagles? Eagles. There's a lot of Eagles in the OVC. There are. There's like 3 different programs who are the Eagles. You would think calling games there for the last 3 years, I would know. I'm pretty sure it's the Screaming Eagles. Southern Indiana and Morehead State, both a game out of first place in the OVC. These are going to be tough matchups. The thing the Cougars have going for them is Coach Sam has that team playing they are the second best defensive team in the conference, allowing under 60 points a game on defense. If they get that offense humming a little bit, they're going to be a problem down the stretch for the OVC. All right, let's get into some NFL talk. First, let's talk about those conference championship games on Sunday. Now, Mark, I know you wrote down, because I forgot my list. You wrote down, I believe, if you could find it.
Yeah, I got it right here.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I picked Seahawks 31-30. Is that right, over the Rams?
Yes, 30-28.
30-28. Okay.
Right.
So I had the Seahawks winning but not covering.
Right.
And that, I think, happened. I think
Seahawks 30 and Rams 28. And the thicker kicker, he
had a couple of field goals.
He did good. I'm glad they still lost, though.
Yeah, I'm glad
he did good.
I was hoping he would kick 6 field goals and Seattle would win by 30. That's what I was rooting for.
Okay.
Anyway, but the other game, I believe I picked the Broncos.
Denver, yes, you 20-17.
20-17, but it was a 10-7 Patriots win. So I had the Broncos covering, and the Broncos did cover the 4.5-point spread, but the Broncos did not win.
Right.
So Patriots, Seahawks. And let me say, I'm seeing a lot of people on social media like, this game, no one's interested in this Super Bowl. Are you kidding me?
No.
The storylines are awesome.
Gonna be great.
I love this Super Bowl. Do you know Sam Darnold was drafted in the same draft class as Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield?
Wow.
Sam Darnold's the first one to get to a Super Bowl out of those 4 quarterbacks. Can you believe that? You would have never thought out of that draft class, Sam Darnold would be the first quarterback to get to a Super Bowl out of those 4. And by the way, again, and I've said this 1,000 times ad nauseum.
Say it again.
On my show here. Stop with this focus on you have to have an elite quarterback to get to a Super Bowl. You do not. You can have a quarterback playing at an elite level. You can have a good quarterback with a great team around them. Drake May is not getting paid. He's got a good team around him and a great head coach. You've got Sam Darnold, who's getting paid, but not like an elite quarterback. He's not getting paid at the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes level. That allows for some flexibility in your roster. And the Seahawks roster and team is good.
I think Denver's backup quarterback did pretty good.
He was good early.
Yeah.
He struggled the rest of that game, but he was good early. Look, again, and if you've looked at Drake May's numbers in these playoff games, passing numbers, not good at all. He threw for, 80 yards against Denver? And I know the second half was a blizzard, but
yes, it was.
He threw for 80 yards in that game. He was not good, especially good against Houston. He was not especially good against the Chargers. And they won anyway. Why? Good coaching, good defense.
They got the defense. You're right about that.
The best way to describe why the quarterback is the most important position on the field is not because, you have to have a star. You have to have an elite passer. You don't. The reason the quarterback is the most important position on the field is because it takes the most support to help that quarterback succeed. Look at Drake May's numbers in the playoffs. He has no business with the way he's played being in the Super Bowl, according to you all who focus only on the quarterback. He has no business being in the Super Bowl, but guess what he is? Defense, coaching, special teams matter. What did Seattle do in the first play of the game against the San Francisco 49ers 2 weeks ago? Opening kickoff return for touchdown. Special teams. Sam Darnold didn't have an especially great game passing the ball in that game. He was awesome against the Rams. It is more than the quarterback's performance. It's everything around the quarterback. Are they in a good system? Do they have good skill players? Does the offensive line block for them? Do they have a defense that gives them the ball a couple of more times a game and gives the offense a couple of more possessions? Do they have special teams that help contribute in terms of field position and field goal kickers? Come on. If this postseason hasn't sold you on the fact you don't need, look, it helps for sure to have a Patrick Mahomes. It helps. But you don't have to have it in today's NFL. You have to have a good quarterback who can level up because of the support and the coaching around them. Systems are huge. How is Sam Darnold with the New York Jets? Terrible. How is he in Carolina? Terrible until maybe the last month of his tenure there. Then he went and backed up Brock Purdy in San Francisco under Kyle Shanahan, learned a little bit. Then came back as a starter with Minnesota in a great system. Kevin O'Connell's offensive system is one of the best in football in Minnesota. Darnold and the Vikings won 18 games, and he had a great year. Seattle this year, great system. I don't know how else. I don't know what. Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator in New England. He's a long-time successful OC. He was the OC for Tom Brady for a ton of their Super Bowls. Now he's got a quarterback that fits his system in New England. But, it's all about the quarterback. Go look at Drake May's numbers in the playoffs. It's not all about the quarterback. It wasn't the New England Drake Mays versus the Denver Broncos Bo Nixes, even though Bo didn't play. They don't play defense. They don't play special teams. They don't block for themselves. They don't catch balls. They don't run out of the tailback position. And they certainly don't call their own plays anymore in the NFL. That's the system. That's the offensive coordinator. So stop it. The model is get a quarterback that's reasonably priced. That's good. That's good. That you don't have to pay top of the position and eat up a quarter of your salary cap. And then your organization has to build around that quarterback. Level them up. The Patriots now are set up. I hate to say it, Chiefs fans. The Patriots are set up to start to run another dynasty. They have a young quarterback who's not getting paid yet. They have a head coach that's from the Bill Belichick tree. And he's a much more player-friendly coach than Bill Belichick ever was. That can coach defense, so you know the Patriots' defense is always going to be good. Heck, Mike Vrabel had the Tennessee Titans with Marcus Mariota as a number 1 seed twice. They didn't get to the Super Bowl. They're in the Super Bowl now. They've got the great coach. They've got the young quarterback. They've got some young players. And they're going to always have a good defense. The Patriots might be back. And I know those of you out there who hate the Patriots, I'm sorry. I don't like the Patriots, but they're better than the alternative. You also have the Seahawks on the other side. Darnold got paid, but he didn't get paid like one of the top quarterbacks in football. Some of the top quarterbacks in football aren't in the playoffs. They don't have a team around them. So I'm telling you, and the Rams, Stafford's getting paid, but they are so good at drafting in the mid rounds. They have so many studs. that are not highly paid. That's just a smart front office. You know, the same front office that was in St. Louis when they couldn't draft here. Yeah. Couldn't draft in St. Louis. Oh, all of a sudden they're good when they moved to LA. Funny how that works. Anyway, look, I love this Super Bowl. I'm going to root for Seattle. I want to see Sam Darnold win. I think that would be awesome. I want to see that coach, Mike McDonald, who was a defensive coordinator in Baltimore. And here's the other thing. Everyone needs to hire offensive coaches to be their head coach. The defensive coach in Seattle beat the offensive coach in LA. The defensive coach in New England beat the offensive coach in Sean Payton in Denver. 2 defensive head coaches are in the Super Bowl. Stop it with this madness. These defensive head coaches are smart enough to hire offensive coaches and then let them coach offense. McDonald's doing it in Seattle. Vrabel's doing it in New England. So come on. These national narratives drive me crazy. But I'm super pumped. Sam Darnold, what a great story that is. He went from first round pick bust to backup to winning games last year, and then had 2 terrible games in big games at the end of the year for Minnesota. And everyone's like, he can't win the big one. Well, he did. He's in the Super Bowl. First of all, he can't win the big one. You mean the team he's playing for? He's around a great support system and a good system, and now he's in the Super Bowl. Great story. Jackson Smith-Njigba, one of the best receivers in football, and I can't wait to see him in the Super Bowl. Seattle's defense is so good, so fast. Their head coach is the former Ravens defensive coordinator, and you know how good Baltimore's defense has been over the years. And then on the flip side, Mike Vrabel, who's gotten number 1 seeds before. He comes back home to New England after 2 subpar seasons in New England. He turns it around in 1 year, and the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. And this could be the jumping off point for another New England dynasty. Drake May's a young quarterback. What's he going to do in the Super Bowl after 3, let's admit it, 3 subpar personal performances in the playoffs? They have a great defense. Man, this is going to be a fun game to watch. And I'm so excited. I have no real rooting interest. I don't have to root against anyone for the first time in 8 years.
But you love that.
All you Chiefs fans that have refused to invite me to your Super Bowl parties, you can invite me this year. So that's going to be awesome. I love the storyline in the Super Bowl. So we'll get more into that next week. All right.
Hey, we're going to be broadcasting the Super Bowl live here.
Live here on KXOK, Spanish language broadcast right on KXOK.
And KWRH.
And KWRH in Webster. So, tune in for that. By the way, I've told you this before. Sometimes I'll see clips that show up on my feed of the Spanish language broadcast for NFL. At the excitement level,
I know it's
so great.
It's much better.
Oh, I love it. If I could speak Spanish,
I know.
I love it. But so great. So Spanish language broadcast right here on KXOK.
Turn the radio on and turn on the video
of the game.
The game. Yeah,
for sure.
Some people have done that. Yeah.
Coaching hires. Robert Saleh got hired, former Jets coach. By the way, the Jets immediately went into the toilet. They were average to bad in New York with Saleh as their head coach, but that's a poorly run organization. We all know that. It's the New York Jets. He gets after coaching the defense in San Francisco this year, he's back as a head coach in Tennessee. I love that hire. I think with a better organization, Robert Saleh, I think, is a good coach. And we're going to get a chance to see it. And he hired Brian Daboll. I talked about defensive coaches knowing now they've got to hire an offensive guy that knows what he's doing and just let him run the offense. Saleh did that in Tennessee. Hired Brian Daboll, who was the one who unlocked Josh Allen in Buffalo, went to the Giants, made the playoffs with Daniel Jones, won a playoff game before it all started crumbling around him. He's back as an offensive coordinator for Tennessee under Robert Saleh. I love that move. So he gets to now tutor Cam Ward after his rookie year and put an offense together for Cam Ward. And Tennessee has a ton of cap space. That'll be a very interesting offseason in Tennessee. Love that hire. Joe Brady promoted in Buffalo from offensive coordinator to head coach. I don't know what anyone was expecting in Buffalo. They were going to keep this as comfortable for Josh Allen as possible. He's your meal ticket. I talk about you don't need a meal ticket at quarterback, but it's nice to have. Buffalo has it. They've got Josh Allen. He overcomes a lot of blemishes. And so keep it comfortable for him. Joe Brady is promoted. He's going to run the offense. What he has to do is hire a good name defensive coordinator and just let them coach the defense. Miami, I'm uninspired by their hire, Jeff Hafley, Packers defensive coordinator. He was under 500 as a college head coach at Boston College. He was 22-26. I guess he's a pretty good defensive coordinator, but that's a very uninspiring hire in Miami. Uninspiring hire in Cleveland. They hired veteran offensive mind Todd Monken. Long-time coach. He's a little older. But who are the Browns going to get? You saw in the news there were so many candidates that pulled their name out of consideration for the Browns head coaching job. So Todd Monken is the head coach. Jim Schwartz stays on as defensive coordinator. Those are, we know about John Harbaugh, great hire in New York for the Giants. Mike McDaniel, the offensive quote unquote genius who was not a very good head coach in Miami, but has a great coaching tree, is going to take over the offense for Jim Harbaugh in LA and coach Justin Herbert and that offense. Oh, I am very intrigued by that. Very intrigued by that. And I'm very interested to see where the former Texas Tech, his name was he was just the offensive coordinator in Washington, former Arizona head coach. The name is escaping me now. This is what happens when you get old. He was the one who led the Cardinals to the playoffs as their head coach. Kyler Murray had his best year. I really feel with Jesse Minter, a defensive-minded coach being hired in Baltimore, I really feel like he's the guy that should be hired for I'm clicking on it now. Let me see who. Cliff Kingsbury. That's who I'm thinking of. Cliff Kingsbury. Look, Cliff Kingsbury unlocked Kyler Murray. They went to the playoffs. Jaden Daniels last year, his rookie year, Washington was very, very good. Jaden Daniels was very, very good under Kingsbury. Fought injuries this year. I think you put Kingsbury with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Oh, my goodness. If I'm Baltimore and I'm Jesse Minter, that's the guy I'm looking at to take over my offense. I think he would be phenomenal as Lamar Jackson's OC. So, look, you never know until they start playing games, but some of these hires make a lot of sense. Real quick, college football portal.
Yeah. Wait. What about the special team coordinator at Mizzou?
Oh, yeah. The Mizzou has hired 4 new coaches.
And was he fired or did he quit?
The special teams
coordinator. I think this is a good thing.
Left. He is now working somewhere else. I don't remember where he went.
Okay. He went to another job.
He is no longer at Mizzou. Mizzou hired a Florida State's special teams coach to coach special teams. So
did not know that. Thanks. Sorry.
No, that
I thought you might know because I was trying to find stuff out yesterday when I heard about it.
Yeah. So a new special teams coordinator, obviously the new offensive coordinator from Michigan, Chip Lindsey, who apparently was pretty instrumental in getting Austin Simmons to transfer from Ole Miss. Lindsey apparently recruited Simmons, and so they know each other. So that's good. That's a positive sign. If you look at, hold on, I'm going to get to the the transfer portal for Mizzou football. I believe 247 has Mizzou ranked in the top 25 for their transfer portal. And if you look at some of these, where they've come from, I talk about this all the time. Coach Drink does such a great job in the portal getting players from other power conference teams. They're not all small school teams trying to come up. They are other portal teams. He's got 2 guys from Miami, the U, who is just in the national championship game, by the way. Edge rusher Malik Bryant and Bobby Washington, a linebacker. He got Caden Lee, the wide receiver from Ole Miss, who's best friends with Austin Simmons. He got an edge rusher from Louisville, CJ May. Another Ole Miss transfer, Chris Graves, a corner. Another power conference offensive lineman, Will Kemna from Kansas State. He got a kicker. Will now have a backup kicker who came from a power conference, Florida State, Bruno Ruiz. I don't know how to say it. R-E-U-S.
That's for sure.
Ruiz. I'll figure it out. Mississippi State, Lute Work, offensive tackle. We got a speedster in Caleb Goody, a 4.3, 540 guy from Cincinnati. Another Ole Miss, obviously, the quarterback, Austin Simmons. So they're loading up. They got a safety from Michigan, another defensive lineman from Miami, Auburn safety, Auburn linebacker, Notre Dame safety, wide receiver from Florida. Look, Coach Drink does a very, very good job getting transfers from other power conferences to come to Mizzou. So very excited. They've got 28 coming in, and they are top 25 transfer portal roster as of today. Guess who is number 1? Lane Kiffin at LSU. LSU. Lane Kiffin, number 1 transfer portal destination in the country. I mean, you knew it was going to happen. But yeah, I hate to see that. All right. Good show today. Super Bowl in about 10 days. Initially, are you rooting for Seattle as well, Mark?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I am. New England looked pretty good, though.
Their defense, first of all, I don't understand what Denver was doing in the first half, Sean Payton. I think he cost them the game.
Yeah.
It was 4th and 1.
Yes.
They were already up 7-0. Backup quarterback. Don't tell me they didn't know that winter storm was coming. You know that everybody knew that winter storm was on its way. Your defense had played lights out so far against Drake May and the Patriots. You're already up 7-0, 4th and 1 at the 13-yard line, and you elect to go for it with a backup quarterback. And you don't get it.
I think that was a turning point. That was it.
I think it absolutely cost them the game, because if they kick it there and they're up 10-0 with that storm on the way, how are you a veteran coach? Sean Payton's been a head coach for years. How on earth do you make that call when you know you have a backup quarterback in the game? You know a storm's coming. You know your defense is playing well. Get your points. These coaches that, the analytics say, put points on the board. Points win games. There you go. That's what I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave you with that nugget. Points win games. You've been listening to The Mole Hole here on a Thursday. My name's Randy Molman. Thank you for tuning in. We'll do this again next Thursday. Talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl right here in The Mole Hole on KXOK and KWRH. So long, everybody.